Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that you woke up this morning as a millionaire, not just with money in the bank, but with the attitude, the habits, and the standards of a millionaire. How would you walk into this room? How would you speak? How would you think about your future? You see, success is not something you chase. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Let me tell you something I learned early on. Money doesn't come first. Mindset comes first. You can hand $1 million to someone who thinks like a pauper, and soon enough, they'll find themselves right back where they started. But you take someone with a millionaire mindset, strip everything away, and watch them rebuild. Why? Because wealth is never just about what you have, it's about who you are becoming. The mind is the workshop where fortunes are first built. Long before the world ever sees your bank account swell, it begins with the thoughts you carry, the vision you hold, and the belief you nurture about what's possible for your life. Most people wait until the evidence shows up before they believe. They say, when I have more money, I'll think bigger. When I have success, I'll act successful. But it doesn't work that way. You have to believe first, act first, and think first long before the world gives you permission. You see, your thinking sets the thermostat of your life. If you believe you're meant for small things, you'll unconsciously sabotage big opportunities. If you see yourself as ordinary, you'll talk yourself out of extraordinary chances. But if you choose, right now, to think like someone who's destined for greatness, everything changes. You begin to carry yourself differently. You walk into rooms with intention. You speak with conviction. You plan your days as though they matter, because they do. When you adopt the mindset of a millionaire, you start to look at challenges differently. Where others see problems, you see possibilities. Where others shrink back in fear, you lean forward with curiosity. It's not arrogance, it's belief. It's saying, I was made for more, and I will grow until I get there. That kind of thinking attracts people. It attracts resources. It attracts ideas. The world has a strange way of opening its doors to the person who walks as though they belong. And here's something else: your habits always follow your identity. If you see yourself as broke, you'll spend like someone trying to escape the feeling of lack. If you see yourself as wealthy, even before the money arrives, you'll manage what you have with wisdom, because you know more is coming. That shift in identity begins with how you think. Start speaking the language of growth. Start surrounding yourself with ideas and conversations that stretch your thinking, not shrink it. Most people underestimate how powerful this simple shift can be. They want the big leap, the overnight win, the jackpot moment. But the real transformation happens quietly, in how you talk to yourself each morning, in how you approach the next opportunity, in how you decide to grow just 1% more each day. Think of it this way: your mind is like soil. Whatever you plant there, doubt or belief, scarcity or abundance, it will grow, and the fruit of your life will always reflect the seeds you've been planting. Start seeing yourself as valuable. Start thinking of your time as precious. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now worthy of the future I want? Millionaires ask that question every day. They don't trade hours for pennies. They invest moments for meaning. When you start thinking that way, even small actions become powerful. Reading one good book becomes a strategy, not a chore. Saving a portion of your income becomes a declaration that you believe in your future. It's not about pretending you're something you're not. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. So lift your vision, guard your thoughts. Because if you can win in your mind, the battle in the real world gets a whole lot easier. Start thinking like a millionaire now, and soon the world will have no choice but to catch up. If you want your life to change, you must raise your standards. It's as simple and as difficult as that. Everything in your life right now is a reflection of the standards you've decided to settle for: your income, your relationships, your health, your level of joy. If you raise what you demand of yourself, everything else will eventually rise to meet it. The truth is, success rarely comes as a surprise to those who achieve it. It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's the byproduct of living each day as though excellence is the only acceptable outcome. Now, I'm not talking about being perfect. Perfection is impossible. What I am talking about is developing an intolerance for mediocrity in your own life. Most people wait until the world pushes them to change, until a crisis forces their hand. But people who go far decide early that they will not live below their potential. They set their standards higher than their circumstances, and then they grow until their life matches their vision. When you raise your standards, something powerful happens. You start showing up differently. You start dressing like your future matters. You start speaking like your words carry weight. You stop saying someday and start saying today. You stop accepting excuses from yourself and start demanding effort. And that shift changes how people see you. More importantly, it changes how you see yourself. Because when you hold yourself to a higher standard, you begin to build trust with yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Standards are like silent compasses. They quietly guide every choice you make. If your standard is good enough, you'll do just enough to get by. But if your standard is excellent, you'll push beyond convenience, beyond comfort, and that's where growth lies. Think about it. No one ever drifts their way to greatness. They decide, they draw a line and say, this is who I will be and I will not compromise. And from that moment on, their actions have weight, their days have purpose, and their work has meaning. And here's something interesting. When you raise your standards, the world tests you. It will ask, do you really mean it? Obstacles will show up, delays will come. People might not understand you. But those challenges are not meant to stop you. They are meant to see if you are serious. If you stay consistent, the world will eventually move aside for the person who refuses to lower their standards. Rising your standards also changes what you tolerate. Low standards tolerate gossip, distractions, and excuses. High standards eliminate them. Low standards tolerate cluttered thinking, reactive behavior, and impulsive choices. High standards demand clarity, intentionality, and discipline. It's not about being hard on yourself. It's about loving yourself enough to expect more from yourself. Because deep down, you know you're capable of more, and nothing feels better than living up to your own potential. One of the quickest ways to raise your standards is to raise your environment. If you spend time with people who accept average, you'll start thinking average is normal. But if you spend time with people who pursue excellence, their energy will rub off on you. You'll start to stretch, to rise, to elevate, not because someone told you to, but because it will feel natural to do so. That's the power of standards. They're contagious. So ask yourself, what have you been tolerating that you know is beneath you? What habits, what attitudes, what routines? Decide today that those no longer belong to the future version of you. Draw the line, set the bar high, and then commit to reaching it, no matter how many times you stumble on the way. Because the moment you raise your standards, you change the trajectory of your life. Demand more of yourself now, and life will reward you later. Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Everyone dreams of success, but dreams don't move the needle. Disciplines do. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it doesn't care where you started, who your parents were, or what your past looked like. It rewards anyone who practices it long enough. Discipline is the great equalizer. It's the quiet, consistent effort that builds momentum when motivation fades, and it's the difference between wishing for a better future and actually building one. Motivation will get you going, but discipline will keep you going. Because there will be days when you don't feel like it. There will be mornings when your bed is warm and the world feels cold, and you'd rather hide than rise. On those days, discipline is the voice that says, do it anyway. And that single decision, showing up when it's inconvenient, is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Discipline says, I've decided what kind of life I want, and I'll do the work whether I feel like it or not. Discipline is how small habits become massive results. It's reading 10 pages when you'd rather watch TV. It's saving $10 when it feels like it won't matter. It's practicing your craft when no one is watching and no applause is coming. Those small acts may look insignificant in the moment, but done daily, they compound into extraordinary outcomes. People often look at someone who's achieved greatness and call them lucky, but what they don't see are the hundreds of ordinary days behind that success, days filled with quiet discipline, not dramatic events. And discipline builds something more valuable than money. It builds character. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen your identity. You prove to yourself that your word has weight. That self-respect becomes confidence, and that confidence becomes fuel. Soon, you don't need outside validation to push forward. You trust yourself enough to keep going. Discipline creates that trust. Without it, you become a prisoner of your moods. With it, you become the master of your direction. The thing is, discipline is never convenient. It always asks for more than you feel like giving. But it also gives more than you can imagine. It gives you freedom. It gives you options. It gives you choices that most people never get to make, because While they were waiting to feel ready, you were building strength through consistency. And here's the truth. Discipline isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's not about depriving yourself, it's about equipping yourself. The disciplined life is not smaller, it's bigger. Because when you've done the work, you get to live with peace of mind. You don't have to hope things will work out. You've prepared so they will. Think about it like this. If you do what's easy now, your life will be hard later. But if you do what's hard now, your life will become easier later. Discipline is doing what's hard on purpose so life can become easier by design. That's why the most successful people don't have more willpower than you. They just have systems and routines that remove the need for constant decision making. They build habits that run automatically, and those habits carry them when motivation fails. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. Start with one simple discipline. Something small, something daily, something you can't talk yourself out of. And do it whether you feel like it or not. Then add another, stack them, let them build. And soon you'll look back and realize you've crossed a bridge most people never even step onto. Not because you were lucky, but because you were consistent. Do the work when it's hard, and one day life will become easy. Your environment shapes you far more than you realize. The people you spend time with, the conversations you entertain, the energy you allow into your life, all of it is quietly molding your mindset and your habits every single day. Most people think success is just about effort, about how hard they work, but effort alone can't outgrow a toxic environment. You can plant the best seed in the world, but if you plant it in poor soil, it will struggle to grow. The same goes for you. If you want to rise, you have to place yourself where growth is possible. Look around at the people closest to you. Are they lifting you or limiting you? Are they challenging you to grow? Or are they keeping you comfortable where you are? Because comfort is sneaky. It feels safe, but it quietly robs you of your potential. You start adopting the language of the people around you. You pick up their habits, their beliefs, their expectations. If the people around you think small, you'll eventually think small. If they spend their days complaining, you'll start to see life through the same lens. But if you surround yourself with people who think big, who expect excellence, who push themselves and pursue more, it becomes almost impossible to stay average. Environment doesn't just influence your mindset, it sets the ceiling on it. You might be working hard, learning, grinding every day, but if you stay surrounded by people who are content with mediocrity, you'll feel guilty for wanting more. That guilt will make you hide your ambition, water down your dreams, and talk yourself out of opportunities that could change your life. But when you place yourself in an environment of high standards, your ambition is not something to hide, it's something to celebrate. It becomes normal to dream big. It becomes expected to aim higher. And here's the interesting thing, when you change your environment, your thinking expands almost automatically. You start seeing possibilities that were invisible to you before. You start hearing new ideas, new strategies, new ways of living. It stretches your imagination. It makes you ask, why not me? That's the power of being in the right environment. It pulls you forward without you having to force it. You begin to grow simply because growth becomes the norm. Sometimes, changing your environment means making hard choices. It might mean spending less time with people who drain your energy and more time with people who spark your vision. It might mean walking away from conversations that keep you small and seeking out conversations that lift your thinking. It's not about cutting people off in anger. It's about protecting the space where your future is being built, because your future is being shaped every single day by what you allow around you. If you don't intentionally choose your environment, you'll unconsciously settle for one that keeps you stuck. Don't wait for the perfect group to come find you. Go look for it. Seek mentors. Join circles of people who are already where you want to be. Study how they think, how they work, how they handle challenges. Absorb their energy. Borrow their belief until your own belief gets strong enough to stand on its own. That's not pretending, that's preparing. Even small shifts can make a huge difference. Listening to uplifting messages instead of negative noise. Filling your space with books that inspire instead of distractions that numb. Spending just 10 minutes a day learning from someone who's ahead of you can do more for your growth than 10 hours around people who are going nowhere. Little by little, those choices reshape your inner world and your outer world starts to catch up. Because here's the truth, no one climbs alone. Every great achievement is built on the foundation of an environment that supported it. Your environment is either fueling your dreams or quietly suffocating them, so choose carefully. Surround yourself with voices that call you higher, not voices that keep you grounded in fear. Build an environment that reminds you of who you want to become, not who you used to be. Get around greatness long enough, and you won't be able to stay small. Wealth is the byproduct of value, and the people who build true wealth understand that their job is not to chase money. It's to become so valuable that money has no choice but to chase them. Most people get this backwards. They spend their lives trying to get more without first becoming more. But the marketplace doesn't reward need, it rewards value. The more value you bring, the more indispensable you become. And when you become indispensable, opportunity will hunt you down. Think about it. Every dollar you've ever earned came from solving a problem for someone. Every paycheck, every commission, every sale, it was all a thank you note from the marketplace for the value you delivered. If you want more of those thank you notes, you simply have to serve more people or serve people at a higher level. That's the secret. It's not about luck, and it's not about waiting for the right break. It's about developing yourself into someone who can deliver something valuable, consistently, reliably, and with excellence. And this isn't just about business. It's about how you approach life. People who serve value stand out. They go the extra mile when no one is watching. They solve problems before they are asked. They take ownership when things go wrong and give credit when things go right. That attitude builds trust, and trust builds influence. And influence is the soil where wealth grows. The people who make the biggest impact are the ones who show up every day asking, how can I make things better for someone else today? But here's the challenge: serving value often requires patience. You don't always get paid instantly. Sometimes you'll work hard, give your best, and hear nothing for a while. And if you're doing it only for the immediate reward, you'll quit too soon. The key is to see every act of value as a seed. You plant it today, water it consistently, and trust that the harvest will come. And it will come often from directions you never expected, because value has a way of finding its way back to you multiplied. To serve value, you must also keep growing. You can't pour from an empty cup. The more you develop yourself, the more you have to offer others. That's why the most successful people are lifelong learners. They read, they study, they ask questions, they stay curious. They know that every new skill, every new insight, every new discipline makes them more valuable to the world around them. And the marketplace always rewards the valuable. There's something powerful that happens when you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? It shifts your energy. It lifts your thinking. It takes you out of scarcity and into abundance. Because when you're focused on giving value, you never run out of opportunities. There's always another person to help, another problem to solve, another need to meet. And with every act of service, you build something money can't buy: reputation, respect, and trust. And those three things will carry you further than any quick gain ever could. Serving value also brings fulfillment. You can chase money your whole life and still feel empty. But when you spend your days making a difference, you go to bed with peace in your heart. That peace is priceless. That's the kind of wealth that makes life rich. Not just what you accumulate, but who you become and how many lives you touch along the way. And the beautiful thing is, the more lives you impact, the more the world insists on rewarding you. So don't aim to be known, aim to be useful. Don't chase applause, chase contribution. Because when you give more than is expected, when you consistently leave people better than you found them, the rewards will come. Maybe not immediately, but inevitably. Bring more value to the table than anyone else, and the world will move mountains to make room for you.